Hello everyone from Istanbul School. Dear viewers, this week our subject is Prof. Dr. Mustafa Said Yazıcıoğlu. Welcome, teacher.
Thank you.
Professor, this week we want to talk to you about the current state of the Islamic world, the current situations. There is a Palestinian issue that burns us. On the other hand, we see other annoying issues. How do you view these? How do you interpret them?
Of course, first of all, this last Palestine we experienced, Palestine-Israel, what are we going to say? Are we going to say war? What are we going to say? Really dramatic events are taking place regarding this situation. All of our hearts are burning. Everything is growing down our throats. When we see the hardships that those children, innocent people, civilians, women are going through, a person really feels incredibly uncomfortable. Of course, this is a bleeding wound of the Islamic world. Apart from this, the Islamic world struggles with many problems. This is a world that we are also a part of. We are also in a position like a bridge between the Middle East and Europe. Therefore, we are also a part of this world. The Islamic world has also had a political unity for quite some time. There is an organization called the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. This is an institution that has approximately 66 Islamic countries as members. It is also said to be the organization with the most members after the United Nations. When you say the Islamic world, of course, it starts from the Far East, from Indonesia and Malaysia. After that, when you come towards Bahrain, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and then you come to the Middle East, Afghanistan, the Middle East is now right in the middle of this. It is where many conflicts take place. North Africa and the countries above that equator, African countries, Central Asia, Turkish republics, have also joined the Union in the last 20, 30 years or so. Therefore, there are member countries of the Islamic world in every continent of the world. The Islamic world has regional problems. For example, Africa has its own problems. It has a hunger problem, a drought problem. There are problems in the relations of North Africa with the West due to being a colony. The problems caused by the separation of the Central Asian and Turkish republics to the Soviet Union, etc. There is no need to mention the Middle East anyway. It is like the source of all kinds of problems. This is very important. The Middle East and the Islamic world, or rather, a country with great wealth that the world needs. In terms of oil and natural gas, the Middle East, as you know, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, oil-producing countries, North Africa, Algeria, many of the Central Asian Turkish republics have incredible natural wealth. Apart from this, there are other advantages. It is the place where religions, heavenly religions, originated. Its geopolitical location is very important.
In fact, these are regions that are desired to be possessed from every aspect.
Exactly. Therefore, how is it that a world with so many opportunities can stand up, solve itself, its own problems, and then not produce something from our own perspective of faith? How can we not intervene in the injustices in the world? This is an important question to ask. It is also a difficult question to answer. To put it simply, when we think about the events that have been going on in Syria for more than 10 years, we cannot see anything like what is happening in Syria, what is going on, what is not being shared, what we need to do. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation is very active in this regard. It does not have a stance. Who is there? There is America, Russia, France, England, etc. What are they doing there? That is our territory, our region. Look, there are oil fields in the Eastern Mediterranean. They are sitting down with Egypt, Italy, and Greece regarding those oil fields and making agreements, because we did not have relations at that time. Therefore, in order to share the riches in a sea right under our noses, the Italians, the French, the Greeks, etc. Where is Greece? Where is the Eastern Mediterranean? What kind of a Muslim country? Egypt cooperating with them, a country right next to us with which we have historical and religious ties. There are so many problems. Let me give two examples to simplify. This Palestine issue has entered a new dimension, but before that, the American President Trump signed a decree stating that the capital of Palestine is Jerusalem. Thereupon, demonstrations, etc., were organized in major Islamic countries. Since Turkey was the chairman of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation at that time, our president organized an Islamic countries summit in Istanbul. He organized 2 summits. On this occasion, and a year or two later, when the embassy started to move towards that direction, there was a surge in the Islamic world again. He convened another summit. I think the 2 summits were held 2 years apart. The summit meeting of the Cooperation of Islamic Countries means a forum where the heads of state of all countries must attend. There, these matters are discussed, debated, some decisions are made, and they are put into effect. but 3-5 heads of state come. Then fortunately, there are some participations at lower levels. Since the West knows the decisions made, they sit down, talk, say something, but they are of no value, and that is exactly what happens. Why can't we stand up? The most important thing that binds us together is our faith. But some of the conflicts between countries, the problems in Syria's relations with its neighbors, Iran's relations with Saudi Arabia, Turkey's relations with Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Gulf countries until recently. When you bring all of these together, we disperse this power and we cannot bring it together. And when it disperses, of course, the West knows this very well. That is why it interferes in everything. Look, American warships have now arrived. They are stationed in the Mediterranean. England set off from there. They are coming, etc. What business do they have? This is our regional problem. Therefore, while the Islamic world is struggling with some internal problems specific to itself, we are losing the essence of the matter and becoming open to external interventions. A world that has the means to regulate the world, to squeeze the world's throat to a certain extent, cannot get back on its feet, and it is deprived of solving its own internal problems and has no weight or role in world politics. This is really an issue that needs to be thought about and worked on a lot. As is always the case everywhere that external countries intervene, they have already designed the region in such a way at the time. They have arranged many elements and borders in such a way that they have arranged and adjusted possible points of conflict in the future. And when the time comes, they put a plan into practice. Now, in this recent Palestine-Israel issue, the existence of such a plan is also mentioned. Therefore, this is one of the greatest weaknesses of the Islamic world. Unfortunately, we cannot capture the potential of being together, using this power together, and first solving our own internal problems and then becoming effective in world politics. We are wasting it. This also comes at a great cost.
Well, when we think about taking responsibility here, when we become aware of all these problems, what should we do as a precaution or intervention, both socially and individually? What do you think about this?
So, of course, countries need to resolve some of their problems among themselves. The tension between Saudi Arabia and Iran is always on the agenda. But recently there was a move towards an agreement. Turkey experienced a cold period with some Egypt and some Arab countries. Good progress was made on that issue. Just when it seemed like a comfortable order was being reached, this latest Palestine-Israel conflict came up. Now the world is really busy with this. There is a subject that our president frequently brings up, both in the United Nations and elsewhere. He says the world is bigger than 5. What he means by this is this: the ground that the United Nations was formed on does not exist today. At the end of World War II, the victorious countries and the countries that had a stake in this business came together. They established an organization. They determined 5 permanent members. When one of these members says no, nothing happens after that. We have gone through periods. At this point, there is no way to get anywhere with this primitive management approach. In other words, when you take an issue to the United Nations and think of it as a forum where all countries come together, when one of the 5 countries says this is not possible, nothing happens. In other words, this is not sustainable. Our president's observation is very accurate. The world is slowly grasping this. But of course, this needs to be handled with very delicate politics without stepping on anyone's calluses. It is more or less heading that way. Even the Secretary General of the United Nations made some statements recently regarding the change of the structure. This is an important thing. But this is not a formula to solve the problems of our own inner world, the world we call the Muslim Islamic world. We will solve this within ourselves. There are many different understandings. There are also religious understandings. There are different perceptions. These should be put aside. What is important is our belief based on monotheism. No one has any problems with this. Other details, sectarian things, etc., are different, but there are some things that the West manipulates in this inner structure. There are things of the Salaf, there are extreme elements, etc. In order to overcome this, the Islamic world needs to spread this economic wealth and prosperity to their societies. There are problems there are administrative problems. Democracy needs to come, freedom of thought and expression needs to come, women need to be able to reach a certain point. There are very big problems in these issues. Of course, it is a little difficult for this world to get back on its feet without resolving these. But the recent Israeli-Palestinian tension is really not like the others. It seems like it will have very different results. We also see some statements like, "May Allah protect us," meaning the reshaping of the region. After such heavy traumas, we think that this will also be a means for the Islamic world to recover in the direction we mentioned. Let's hope.
Hopefully it will end well, hopefully. Thank you very much, teacher, for your valuable comments. Dear viewers, we talked about the current state of the Islamic world with Prof. and Dr. Mustafa Said Yazıcıoğlu. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.